Alrighty guys, welcome back to another one. Recently, we got a request to load up some of this 35 caliber triple aught buck in 2 3/4 inch. I did one in 3.5 inch. It was actually an 18 pellet super mag load. That was a 2 3/4 ounce total payload, but you know, not everybody wants destruction. They want just a little bit of destruction. So that's what we have here. 2 3/4 inch. This is a once fired original AA, compression formed, not polyformed. This is a one piece hull, not the AAHS. Why are we using this hull? Because it is my favorite 2 3/4 inch 12 gauge shell. They're just about indestructible, and the wad right here, the Claybuster CB1138, was designed for tapered hulls, which is exactly what this is. How can you tell the difference between the original AA and the new HS, newer HS? I believe they stopped making these in 2003. Well, there's two ways. One, the outward appearance. You can just look at it. The plastic on these appears a little, I want to say, greasy looking. It also has some grain structure to it. The best I can come up with anyway. The HS, the newer one, is completely all uniform, and it looks more waxy than greasy. Again, that's the best I can come up with. But the outward appearance is different. The other way, look down inside the hull with a light, and you won't see a separate base wad. It's just red, and it continues on around the primer. There is no separation of the plastic. The HS, the Super Target, and the Universals all have the same separate base wad from the rest of the hull. If you guys watch Wade Rush, Bubba Roundtree Outdoors here on YouTube, you have seen many loads he has done that are very similar to what I'm about to show you. I've learned pretty much everything I know from him. All the basic stuff, all the stuff you really need to know to get started loading. If you aren't subscribed to him or don't watch him, please go check him out. It's Bubba Roundtree Outdoors here on YouTube, Wade Rush. You can really learn a lot from him. Anyway, moving on. Once fired, original AA. Resize ring. I have this load all set up to do 12 gauge. That one over there that you can barely see is set up for 10 gauge. But we have our shell deprimed, resized. We're going back with a Winchester 209. You could use a Shadot. Any standard strength primer will be fine here. Just like that. Powder charge is 28 grains of Hodgdon Longshot. The wad I showed you earlier, the Claybuster CB1138. This will hold a ounce and 3/8 in this hull of lead birdshot. Actually, I'm going to use my wad guide this time. This is something you guys almost never see me do. Make sure it's down in there, and it is. We need 8 pellets of this 35 caliber triple aught buckshot. I don't have a mold for 35 cal at the moment. I do for 36 now though. So I am casting triple aught. It's just not 35 caliber. The 35 caliber is the largest size that will fit in the CB1138 by 2s. Just like that. They're a little bit tight in this hull, but it doesn't bulge it out at all, which is perfect. It's 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So, the 8 pellets of the 35 cal comes out to 1.19 ounces on my scale, which is just shy of ounce and a quarter. You can add buffer here, which will bring it up to the ounce and a quarter payload. This powder charge that I'm using is a well within spec to add buffer. It's a powder charge for an ounce and a quarter load on the mild side. But I'm adding buffer to it, just whatever I grab out of the drawer. Let's see. Whatever one's on the far left. ITX buffer. Haven't used that one in a while. Oh, I really like this stuff. It's salt and pepper, like the mix number 47 is, but with a little what looks like ground up glass in it. It's shiny. There's 1 scoop of the Lee 2.2 cc dipper. It's the only Lee dipper I have, is the 2.2 cc. Looks like it's going to take probably 1.5 scoops. Yep, 1.5 scoops. Now, I am going to throw on an overshot card here. Let me grab one out of here. So what I've got here is a very thin piece of 16 gauge nitro card. Using that as an overshot card, and that's going to do 2 things. A little bit better looking crimp. Not that these hulls really need it. These hulls crimp beautifully on any press. Leo all does pretty good, crimps anyway, but it's also going to help keep that buffer in a little bit. So, front station is the 8-point. These hulls have an 8-point crimp, so very nice. And we have a very, very nice looking crimp. It's better than a lot of factory loads you find today. There's one more thing we can do. Take you over here to this other press without disturbing it too much. Yeah, there we go. Get this out of the way. I have a taper die right here. And that is going to add a little bit of a taper. Feeds better in semi-autos. And pumps too, I suppose. But there it is. 2 3/4 inch, 8 pellet, 35 cal triple aught buck. 1.25 ounce payload total. Now what do we do if we want 10 pellets? Well, check this out. I have here a twice fired, this is an Aguila hull, or Aguila, however you pronounce that. But I already have it deprimed and resized. I'm going back with a Federal 209A because I'm out of Winchesters sitting here, and I don't have any Shaddots on hand either. They're all back in the other room. I got thousands of Winchesters and Shaddots, and I've got quite a bit of these 209As too. Some CCIs, but just had some 209As laying here. So that's what I'm using. Reprime it. Just like that. Now, I've already done this to this hull, but sometimes on these once fired or twice fired, whatever, many times fired, but sometimes the crimp mouth is a little bit closed, so I just take a pair of wire cutters and work it around it to open it back up. Like I said, I already did it to this hull, so it didn't need it, but that's how I do that. Now, this being a straight wall hull, you can get a lot more capacity in it. This is going to be a 10 pellet load, which comes out to just below 1.5 ounces. It's 1.5 ounces with buffer. These 35 caliber pellets. Again, we're using the Claybuster CB1138, and yes, this is a wad meant for tapered hulls. This is a straight wall wad or hull. I'll show you how I get around that in just a moment. The powder I'm using is again Hodgdon long shot. Excuse me. I've been using a lot of little gun lately, loading up some heavy loads. But the Lee 2.2 cc dipper drops 29 grains of long shot, which is exactly what we need. There's 29 grains of long shot right on the scale. Now again, speaking about Wade Rush for a second, he recently did a video covering the subject about 2 weeks ago now, using these, like I said a second ago, tapered wall wads in straight wall hulls. Now, this is just to seal the powder, to stop powder migration. Use a roughly 1 inch by 1 inch piece of paper towel, tissue, napkin, anything like that. Just wrap it around the bottom of the wad just like this and set that inside your hull. Now, what I personally like doing is taking a pair of needle nose pliers right here and pinching out the bottom of the wad, the gas skirt, to seal the powder. That's what I do. You don't lose any hull capacity doing it this way or pinching out the gas skirt. Another thing you can do, if you don't need all the extra capacity or you have to use an undershot card or something like that, overshot card to get a good crimp, is take a nitro card, a thin one, 70 thousandths, set that over your powder underneath the wad, and good to go. But I prefer this way or pinching out the gas skirt. You don't lose, like I said, any capacity. You will with a nitro card. Now I have in here 10 pellets of the 35 caliber triple-aught buckshot. That comes up just below where you need it to be for the crimp, so this will need either an undershot or an overshot card. I'm just sticking an overshot card on it. The same piece of 16 gauge nitro card I used a second ago. This is a total payload weight of 1.47 ounces, just below ounce and a half. With the buffer, that's going to get you there to the ounce and a half payload. Again, I'm using Ballistic Products ITX buffer. You could use the original or the 47 here. It does not matter. There's 1.5 scoops again. Actually, this load probably need the full 2 scoops because it is a 10 pellet load, not a 8 pellet load. Yep, that's going to need the other half scoop. Did it right there. Total payload weight is now 1.52, well within, spec for an ounce and a half load. To specify what I'm using for an overshot card is the 16 gauge maxi nitro card. I'm just tearing off a thin piece of it. These are tough as nails. You can totally use these as gas seals in 16 gauge, of course. But just one thin piece of it, just like that, probably 35 thousandths. It looks to be about half the thickness of the 70 thou nitro cards that I have. That's going right on top. This one is a 6-point, so backstation of the reload all. I need to get a new main beam for this press. It is it's worn out pretty bad. I have to hold it when I'm, pulling down. Here's the pre-crimp. Looks pretty good. Very nice crimp. Very, very nice crimp on that one. That is a 10 pellet triple-aught buckshot load. Like Wade said, it's basically a 3-inch round in 2 3/4 inch with a fold crimp. Did not need a roll. Let's take it back over here to this other press and taper this shell. Here's what it looks like right now. And here's what it looks like after the taper. You can see it right there in the light. Let's go a little bit more. There we go. Again, that's just for better feeding in semi-autos. That's all that does. So there's your 8 and 10 pellet triple-aught buck loads, 35 caliber. If you don't know, triple-aught buck, just like double-aught, has 2 sizes, that being 35 and 36 caliber. Some people call 32 cal double-aught buck, but really it's 33 caliber. Single-aught buck has 2 sizes, 31 caliber and 32 caliber. It's technically a single-aught buck, is the 32 cal. Now, number 1 buck, I guess you could also say, has 2 sizes as well. The standard being 30 caliber and the other one being 29-285. Factory number 1 buck typically is 29 caliber or 285. It's rarely ever 30 cal. I should clarify, it's supposed to be 30 cal, and from what I've seen other people experience when they open up shells, it's not 30 cal. It's 285 or 29. If you're wondering about those monstrosities sitting right there in the background, those are the follow-up video to something we just filmed this past weekend. 10 gauge versus 12 gauge with the standard bore 12, not the overbore 835. The results were, they did not go as expected. I'll just say right now, the 10, it won. I'll just say that, it won. but working on the follow-up. This is going to be the 835 versus 10 gauge. If you don't know, we have said this a million times by now. The 835 is a 12 gauge shotgun with a 10 gauge bore. So in theory, you're shooting a 10 gauge shotgun that takes 12 gauge shells. But anyway, guys, we want to thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. We always appreciate that. If you got any questions or comments, leave it in the comment section down below. We will get back to you. Both of us read the comments, me and Josh both. Go check out our Patreon. It's as low as $1 a month, and every penny we get goes right back into the channel. We post, early content there, sometimes several weeks early. Just a great place to be. We also have an Instagram. It's at The Shotgun Scientist. I'll leave a link to that in the description below as well. Oh, and our Rumble channel. If you don't know, we have a Rumble. We post some stuff there that we can't really post here on YouTube. Stuff like slug reloading videos or hand loading, black powder tutorials, stuff like that. Anyway, you guys take it easy. We will see you in the next one.